Chris D'Elia. I love talking about Chris D'Elia because I think that every time we get a new Chris D'Elia story, I think finally this creepy fuck who looks like he just got pulled from a river is finally going down. I'll tell you this. I don't know. Is D'Elia the one who had the dad in the CIA, or was that Callan or somebody else? D'Elia's got to have connections somewhere. He's like Patrick Bateman, for God's sake.
Somebody seems like he's getting smoothed over.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
All kinds of stuff just keeps coming out about this guy. And again, same story. Callan's dad is CIA. Okay, thank you, David Lyons.
So he's got a friend somewhere.
D'Elia's dad was a Hollywood producer.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, D'Elia, all these girls, you know, because you look at like a Cosby thing, and 60 girls come out and they've got the same story, and you're like, okay, even if, let's say 10% of the Cosby accusers are liars.
Right.
That leaves about 50 to 55 women who are telling the truth.
A ton. That's
abhorrent behavior.
Dude, even if 10 of them came forward, isn't that abhorrent behavior?
I think Chris D'Elia is up to like 20 to 25 now.
God.
And these women are saying variations of the same thing. Now, I understand that doesn't necessarily mean that, that's not a conviction in a court of law. A lot of these things were made public a long time ago, so they could just be copying what they heard in public.
You don't know.
But the Chris D'Elia stuff does sound pretty legit. And I don't know why Brendan Schaub does a show with him still. I don't know why people are still fans of his, because I never bought into Chris D'Elia. I never liked Chris D'Elia. I never thought he was funny.
He seems creepy.
I always thought he looked like a creep.
He does. He looks the part. Like, that's what makes his case worse, is I think he doesn't look like a good person. Like, you can look at him and say, oh, that guy looks like he's trouble.
Again, he looks like they fetched him out of a river after searching for him for 3 days. He's all pale and he
clammy looking.
Yeah, he's clammy. He looks like an old dying fish.
He looks ill.
Yeah, he doesn't look well. And, we originally had all the allegations of these women saying, well, he texted me when I was 16, and then he waited till I was 17 or 18, and we hooked up before one of his shows. Mm-hmm. And then you had the documentary that Kyle Anderson did last year, almost a year ago now, which was really gross.
Gross. It made him look awful. And somehow he still kept going after that.
He would have women... And look, one thing I will say about the D'Elia thing. Now, I listened to, you guys, I got to hear about this newest D'Elia thing today from Unique, and he tried to read me the Rolling Stone article on the video. It's out there. It's a great video. If you want to listen to Kyle read, it's fucking great. But it was the same thing. It was the women going, he made us, he would Snapchat us. This woman was like getting divorced from her husband, and her husband was still living there, but she needed affection. So she got a DM from Chris D'Elia, and they started talking. But then by the end of the day, they were on Snapchat, and he was asking for nudes. And then she thought that they were like together. So she would go places, and he would demand like, go somewhere private and get on all fours and say that you belong to me. And like get a tattoo of my initials on your neck or on your arm somewhere. And he would do this with a bunch of different women. And I will say this is a complete man's perspective, not understanding women whatsoever. Mm-hmm. How do you allow yourself to be treated like that by a guy who's hundreds of miles away?
I have wondered that. And the only thing I can ever come to as like a female, let's say, is maybe you're just... And this is absurd to me, but maybe you're just so starstruck that Chris D'Elia is messaging you and seemingly taking interest in you specifically, and you think that there's no way that's happening.
And they would, some of them, when they're asked about that, the women would say, well, and again, this must be another woman-man thing. He would text us that he was going to, do the ultimate harm to himself. He was going to, eliminate himself.
Yeah.
If they didn't go and do it. And if they tried to break it off with him, he would say, I'm going to remove myself from the world if you break off contact with me. And the women were like, well, and then I just felt bad, so I did what he wanted. And I'm like, that shit works on people?
No, for me.
But what I'm saying is, if somebody wrote to me and said, do this or I'll K myself, I'd be like, well, I'll send some flowers to your wake.
Or not. I mean, you've clearly got problems. Like, to me, that, like, actually, if I were conversating with that person or conversing, I've had people mad at me now. That to me is so scary to have somebody telling me they're going to do that if I stop talking to them, that I report that. I call somebody, I'm like, this guy is unstable and I'm afraid what he might do if I anger him.
So now I guess Rolling Stone is starting to write about this because 10 more women came forward and said that, yeah, that sounds about right. D'Elia, basically every town he went to, he'd put out a clarion call,
I'm coming to town.
I'm coming to town. Yeah. Women would get in touch with him.
Okay.
And then he'd hook up with them.
Yep.
The younger, the better. They have their DMs. They have their texts. My favorite is when Chris D'Elia was on The Fighter and the Kid, and they informed him that Snapchats can be kept. And he already has no color in his face, but whatever color already existed just eliminated from his face. And you could tell he wasn't listening to anyone anymore.
Yeah.
He was just staring. Many of these relationships were nominally consensual. The experiences are described as emotionally abusive and psychologically damaging. One fan told Rolling Stone that when she met up with D'Elia after a show, he pressured her into giving him oral sex despite the fact that she was shaking and crying. He grabbed me by the face because I'm crying, and he says, "Look at me," the fan told the outlet. I couldn't just look at him. Obviously, I didn't want to look at him. He said, "If you just do everything I say, it'll all be okay."
Okay, and then women in that position, I will say that's a fucking scary thing to consider. Like, okay, what if I don't do it? He's asking right now, will he harm me? And in a lot of cases, I'm guessing they're just like, I just want this to be over with, and I'm afraid.
That, and I guess if you're a guy like D'Elia,
he's not small, is he?
I don't know.
Skinny.
He's a scrawny
but I don't think he's
fuck.
small.
And again, he looks like a dying fish. Like he
looks greasy. He looks like he stinks.
He doesn't look like a tough guy. But like a guy like D'Elia, I suppose if you're a predator of that level that he's accused of being, you can kind of pick out the weak ones.
You know a type.
Yeah, that shit works on.
Yeah. I'm sure you could send them a few very select, like, leading messages and see how they respond, and you'll know at that point.
He was talking about, like, buying a sex house and, like, starting a cult.
Like
and all
a harem?
Yeah, like all this wild shit. It's just, and now it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. I don't know if his dad is like Patrick Bateman's lawyer and he just gets this shit all cleaned up for him.
Who knows?
Or like the other theory of American Psycho, it never happened to begin with. I don't know.
None of it.
But more shit keeps coming out about this guy. And the guy, I don't even think the guy's ever been arrested. I don't think he's ever been investigated by the authorities. None of it. It's just hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. 20 women coming forward. And I mean, in fairness, something did happen to him. His career is pretty much over. He's relegated to working with Brendan Schaub on podcasts. Mm-hmm. But I think he can still do dates, and he still sells tickets, and he still does well in stand-up.
Last time he was local here, I saw a friend of mine from college arm around him, taking pictures with him. Oh. Chris D'Elia killed it tonight. Great show, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at that picture, like, kind of horrified. Like, holy shit, have you heard nothing?
That is.
Like, I would not touch that man.
Women who spoke to Rolling Stone say he had at least a dozen women regularly messaging him sexually explicit content. One woman, Jasmine Wolf, says she was pressured to make a video on her knees, calling herself a D'Elia girl, and personally viewed videos of several other women repeating the same phrase. At his behest, Wolf got a tattoo of D'Elia's initials, something he apparently requested of other women as well. D'Elia has denied these allegations, which can be read in full, and then they've got the link to the Rolling Stone article.
So if this is all true, he basically sounds like somebody who just really gets off on degrading women and making sure they're degraded and they know it.
Yeah, and also him being pumped up as a god.
Yeah, that's part of the degrading.
Yeah.
You're above them.
Softcast says D'Elia equals Cumia. Yeah, not in your wildest dreams, pal. Jesus.
That's not the same.
Cumia would try to get rid of him, and there would be biting during the fight. D'Elia's trying to grab more of them and get them to take pictures on their knees.
He wants them in a home together with tattoos of him on them.
Nice says, so Chris D'Elia is another Corey Adam.
Whoa.
I don't think anything Corey Adam was accused of quite rises to the point of D'Elia.
Not even close.
You got to remember, Corey was on the old radio show when all that shit came out. I don't remember hearing anything about D'Elia level shit. I'm pretty sure we would have cut him loose if it was D'Elia level stuff.
I think so.
Nicholas Jasso says, I went to the store today, saw a guy in a dress pissing into the urinal. I live in the South. This shit is spreading fast. Well, I don't know what to tell. I don't know what that has to do with Chris D'Elia. I don't know what the fuck that had to do with anything we were talking about, but I wish you all the best, Nicholas Jasso.
Stevie J just says, Corey Fox? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean.
Maybe.
I don't know.
You know what?
Call
me crazy. I kind of don't want to know the sex life of all my coworkers.
I definitely don't want to know anything about Corey Adams' sex life.
Probably yours. I'm
no offense
in.
to Corey. I like Corey, but I don't want to know anything about Corey's sex life. Yeah, no, nothing. I'd rather know what Chris D'Elia is doing than know what Corey's up to.
And stranger, isn't D'Elia's isn't he married too, and his wife either knows about this stuff or excuses it?
That's an interesting part of this. So D'Elia, it was in the Rolling Stone article. D'Elia would tell these women, like the one who, for example, the woman told him first.
Okay.
That she was getting divorced. Yeah, and the husband was still living there. And D'Elia told her, me and my partner, we have a newborn, and that's the only reason we're together. Otherwise, we would be split. We wouldn't be together. Now, he's married to that woman and still with her now, so I'm sure she'd love to read that shit.
I guarantee you she has. I mean, what I'm hearing is there's been some weird allegations that wasn't she in a video with him basically excusing his behavior and all the stories that have been out there?
I know she's written to some of the accusers.
I know I'm not just making this up. I swear there's a video that she basically said, oh no, this is, not what you think it is and all that.
I'm not really sure the specifics of that one. But there's the latest in the Chris D'Elia snafu, scandal.
Man.
Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it.
There's more.
And I'm sure that's not the end of it. But D'Elia's in a weird place where they've already canceled his movie and Netflix career and all that stuff, but he can still do stand-up and make a living. But they don't really have enough stuff on him to bring any sort of charges against him.
Concrete.
Well, it's not even not concrete. It's not illegal.
I guess what he's doing is more so creepy.
Right.
Not breaking the law.
Creepy behavior, but not illegal. It all seems consensual.
It seems a severe lack of morals, to most people. But
Dario Delfino says D'Elia would totally marry a dollar store Ghislaine Maxwell. Roots Calhoun says, why do broads think that dude is famous? Only reason I know him is because people talk shit about him. He was a pretty hot stand-up act for a while. And he was on some shows. I think if you were a younger, he kind of had that Dane Cook appeal.
He did.
Sort of young teenage and early 20s women.
Interesting, right? Right in his wheelhouse. That's what he's going for.
Who, Dane?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, Dane never did.
I think Dane Cook's fine.
I was never a Dane Cook fan, but I'm definitely a Dane Cook apologist. He
did well.
People are like, oh, he sucks. Oh, he's fucking terrible. I'm like, come on. He's not terrible. He drew a lot of money. That's the only thing real in comedy, pro wrestling, broadcasting, any of this stuff is the money and the miles, as Captain Lou Albano once said.
And he did them.
And he put on a lot of miles and drew a lot of money. There aren't too many people who had, and it wasn't the longest run, but there aren't too many people who had as hot a run as Dane Cook did in the mid-2000s. He was a pretty big deal. And he was the first one. Freaky Deaky says Vine. No, he was before Vine. He was kind of the first comic to utilize MySpace in promoting his gigs and getting really popular. That's why he had such a young following.
He might not be our taste or something like that, but he certainly did well, numbers-wise.
He did very well. So, yes, the latest on Chris D'Elia, still a creep. More women coming forward. But again, I don't really know what they can do with that information. Legally.
Yeah,
I think people still are staying away from him and they don't want to work with him, but I don't think you can do anything legally with the guy.
I just keep getting shocked that he does still do dates. And he will still sell out shows and shit. And I see girlfriends go see him.
Well, the ones who still want dick, They figure he's easy.
Is that the one you want?
They figure he's easy. He's
Like,
on the rebound,
I get the celebrity thing, maybe
his standards have lowered because the options aren't as plentiful as they used to be. So they're like, maybe I could score some D'Elia cock.
Just the appearance, though, alone.
Maybe they don't care.
I see that guy at a bar, and if he's staring at me, I do not go by that guy.
He is a creepy looking fuck.
Yeah.
Hobo Chili Recipe with $4.99 says, "Hi, I'm Chris D'Elia. My motto is, if there's grass on the field, I get engorged. Also, are there any playgrounds around? I'm hungry."